Hello, everybody, and welcome to another installment of Aftermath Hours, a weekly podcast from Aftermath.site, a worker owned, reader supported website about video games, the internet, and everything that comes after. Aftermath is fully reader supported for the moment, so if you like what you hear, you can subscribe at aftermath.site/products. Or if you don't have a ton of money right now, who does? We'd really appreciate it if you could review the show on Apple, Spotify, or wherever else you listen to podcasts. Today we are talking about the government co-opting Halo and Twitch drama and a bunch of other stuff to advance its agenda, as well as Amazon layoffs, maybe some Animal Crossing and some other things if we got time. I'm Nathan Grayson, and I'm joined by Gita Jackson
Hello, I'm Gita.
and Chris Person.
Sorry for being a technical stickler on this whole thing. Hi, everybody.
Yeah. Before we get into all of that, though, I did want to acknowledge we had a party. We threw one.
Yes. And we
Yeah.
are all feeling the after effects of throwing a party 2 days
Yeah,
later.
pretty evidently.
Yeah. I'm so tired. I was talking to Nathan about this while we were fixing our technical difficulties. I woke up this morning and I saw the rain and I just don't want to do it. I just don't want to do today. But here I am on a podcast.
Yeah, but I mean, the party went well. I think. How did
I
y'all?
think
How did
so.
y'all feel about it?
I had an incredible time. Everyone was telling me how much they love me, which is what I want out of basically any party. So I was having a great time. I danced with my husband. Janice played some really incredible music, as did Alien D and Actuator. The cake was delicious.
The cake was so good. The cake was
The
so
cake was
good.
amazing. I really liked that cake.
Yeah, the cake was really good.
And that was from Rudy's in Ridgewood, Queens. So if you are local, definitely check out Rudy's. They were so sweet to me also when I was picking it up. Um yeah, I had a phenomenal time. How did you guys feel about the party?
Yeah, it was really good. Good turnout. Bunch of different people from many different walks of life. Some of them Aftermath subscribers, other people from media, friends of the site, Ed Zitrans.
Yes.
You know,
Ed Zitron's coat looks so much like Squall from Final Fantasy VIII when you see him in person.
Yeah.
It looks
or it's
Yeah.
giving a small amount of Leon Kennedy as well.
Yes, just like a little bit. No, it really works for him though. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed seeing it in real life. I only got to talk to him for like 2 seconds, but
Mhm.
he's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Ed is great as always. And then yeah, otherwise it was just people chilling out, talking, having a good time.
What is
Yeah.
it? I got one of my favorite tracks. It was nice to Janice dressed up like 2B from Nier
Yeah.
Automata.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
it
That
looks
was
so
pretty
cool.
sick.
And I think we might have played it a little loud because I think it scared people off a little bit from the room a little bit, but it was nice because Dan, who does the highlight reel intro music, Alien D, and he played a track from that was just called like Hannibal Buress yelling at a panda, and it does just sample Hannibal Buress like yelling at a panda and go, "Whoa, yeah, whoa, no." And it's just like that, just chopped up over a beat. And it's like really, really
It's
sick.
really good.
It's
I
really
really,
good.
really liked that.
Yeah. It's like off the
Yeah.
Sweat Equity album. But it's really interesting because like all of the DJs were people who like even outside of that capacity, like I or the site have worked with. You know what I mean? Dan's a good friend. He did the highlight reel intro music. You know, everybody
Yeah.
is basically just a contributor in some capacity.
Chris Kindred has been a friend of mine and just like a friend
mine
of
too,
people in
yeah.
games. Yeah, for like years and years. He played a really great DJ set and looked like the Daywalker. It was really great.
Yeah, it's pretty good, yeah.
And I just kept meeting people local to New York that have followed the site and our work individually for years and making connections that made me really happy also to introduce people to others that I really wanted them to meet. My friend's partner, who is currently reading a Warhammer book, finally got to introduce him to Alex Jaffe, and we just talked about how great Dan Abnett is for for like 15 minutes super loudly. I had a wonderful time. I really genuinely did, and I'm still so tired.
We also had
Yeah.
we also had these stickers, which are foil and they look like either the word 3D or Among Us, but it is Aftermath. And I had to pick them up in the Diamond District, which is crazy because I was just like, why am I picking up stickers on the one block where like the uncut gems block? It was very very funny. Like but also yeah, it was really nice, and it was really funny because when we were leaving, the sound guy was like, yeah, I was surprised that the DJs were really, really good. I'm not used to that. Like, because he's a lot of people book stuff at TVI, and
Mhm.
his attitude was like, yeah, like sort of like a Tuesday, you know what I mean? Like, or
Yeah.
weird early set. You don't usually get really good DJs. I was like, yeah, Dan played Sustain Release. He actually has a really good. His set is up from Sustain Release. It's really good. It's like
Oh
a
shit, I
4
have
hour
to check it
ambient.
out.
I'll send it to you guys. It's really good.
Word. Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I had hoped more people would dance, but we did get some people shaking ass, so I was happy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, next time we've learned. I mean, it was a successful event, but we've definitely learned a lot of things for next time, and I want to believe that there definitely will be at least another anniversary party next year or some other kind of
Yeah.
event that we
Oh
can
no, we'll
plan.
do events. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I
No,
was
we're in the
talking to
events business
Riley
now.
about ideas for the future. Ideas also for people who don't like to go out late, like other kinds of sit down events that we could do. But it was so successful, I think, that
Yeah.
I think we should definitely do another one. I was having
Yeah.
just a blast. There should be pictures. We hired a party photographer who was the sweetest person in the world and like took a little photo shoot of me and my my Charlie XCX brat Halloween costume. We should have pictures from her within the next 2 weeks. I I just feel so good. I'm riding the waves of the adrenaline I was still feeling from Tuesday night.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was a great party, and there may or may not be more anniversary related things to come when we cross the actual threshold of our anniversary, which is still a little bit, or that's in November. But hey, November is on the horizon, so maybe keep your eyes peeled on the site. Maybe like next week, some things might happen. But in the meantime,
Also Isaiah was there.
oh yeah, Isaiah was there. Yeah,
Oh my
Isaiah's
god,
a real
Isaiah was
person.
there, and it was so fucking nice to see him and to finally meet him.
Yeah. But anyway, let's get into the week's news. Beginning with the thing that I think nobody expected, at least when the week started, and now feels just very in line with the way the winds are blowing, which is that at the beginning of the week, a bunch of different government agencies decided to start Halo posting. Specifically, let's see, which were the agencies again? Because yeah, the way it started was also bizarre. Like GameStop of all places did like a fake press release where they're like, the console wars are over, and
I
then
hate that
the
shit.
White House got in on this and posted like Donald Trump as the Master Chief holding a beam sword in front of the White House itself, like saluting an American
Obviously,
flag.
this was a ChatGPT
Yeah, it was an
generated
AI.
image. Yeah.
No, they did not call in the official White House painter to do a portrait of him wearing Kalo cosplay. As incredible as that would have
I
been.
would have liked
Yeah.
that in like the capacity that I can like that. You know what I mean? 'Cause
Right.
you know what I mean?
feel
I think that's the thing is like I don't and we'll get this in a second, as with most of these things, like if you actually went out and did the thing, I'd have to give you credit for doing it. But because
Right.
they can't, it's all just this like you can get into it in a second. It's all just so low effort. It's just so
Right.
like we hired a consulting agency of guys who are from 4chan kind of shit.
Right. And then, so yeah, then GameStop also got into it and posted their own, like, it was a kind of, it was like based on the JD Vance meme. So you had like Trump as Master Chief again, but it was like one of the memeified JD Vances in the background as Cortana. And then the Department of Homeland Security got in on it. And they're like, destroy the flood, join ICE. And of course, to them, the flood is immigrants. And yeah, it just sort of spiraled from there. Later this week, Alyssa Mercante got statements from both the Department of Homeland Security and the White House press secretary or deputy press secretary, where they kind of reified the decision to do all of this. And yeah, it's just been real stupid. On top of that, also you had JD Vance later talk about Collargate.
Oh my
Again, the
God.
whole idea that Hassan Piker is a secret dog torturer, and that the internet, full of super sleuths, the best detectives in the world, all just congregate on Twitter and X and Twitch, as it turns out, greatest minds of our generation. And so they caught him despite the fact that he was keeping it secret for half a decade. Anyway, so yeah, it's just been like, I wrote a post about it yesterday with the headline, "We have never been more 12 years old," which I think pretty much sums it
Yes.
up.
The working theory from that Blue Sky post of just everyone is 12 now has never felt more real. When you see kinds of things people are celebrating and the kinds of things that they're complaining about. I I don't know how to feel. I remember being in the meeting with Riley where we were trying to interpret what these posts mean. And I just kept saying to Riley, they have no meaning. It's the
No.
same thing as the 6-7 mean. It's just like something people say because they know it irritates people who are on the outside. They want to indicate to a certain audience that you are in the in group and everyone else is in the outside.
Right.
There was a really interesting. I mean, I always say I hate saying interesting with the people. I don't actively care for the people who are in these being profiled. It's sort of like, but Bloomberg had a piece, I think Cecilia did, where it was talking about like the people who clip Mr. Beast things and the sort of industry around it. And
There's clipping in general, yeah.
yeah, it was Anthony Fujiwara, and if you look at the piece, there's a photo of Anthony, and it's got like, it's the most like fucking, like you said, 12 years old shit. Like there's a whole pile of Pokemon plushies in the corner, and he's like got his legs crossed and his gamer rig, and he's like, it's, he's got a mirror that looks like an iPod Nano, and it's just like a fucking rug that's like looks like it's from Yu-Gi-Oh, and it's the most like fucking streetwear Discord like 23-year-old entrepreneur shit, and like that whole culture just feels like that. It's like just amoral, like I'm just in it for the memes and the money kind of shit, and like that feels what all of this stuff is downwind of, is just either that or like 45-year-olds who are professional memesters, just this weird bizarre culture of just like of sad dudes making meaningless content. And now they're doing Lord of the Rings shit. They're doing Lord of the Rings shit now. Because they're just moving on to whatever the next big thing that they can make more racist is.
It's just, it feels like, I mean, I keep coming back to the idea of everyone being 12, right? Like, because it feels so much like being in a group of kind of mean middle school boys who are trying to put you down for being different from them, and that is their form of entertainment. And I always assumed people would grow out of that phase of their life, but some people really, really, really don't, and they're very resentful of the fact that other people can continue being weird or strange or off-putting in their presence. The fact that it's like Halo and Lord of the Rings, right, that are the things that are being, the cultural artifacts that are being targeted by this administration. These are like mainstream male coded and like teenager coded forms of entertainment. It just feels like they are trying to, it's like doing return stuff but for like 2002, and it just feels bizarre to me.
Well, that's we're
like,
go ahead. So sorry.
It's very much like, as you were saying, it's entertainment that's coded for like young men and for teenagers, except for that, like, that's just mainstream entertainment now. Like there's not a place beyond that anymore. That's all people talk about. Marvel took over everything. And so like that's sort of where the discourse gets stuck and remains. And so it makes sense that all these like 40-year-olds and 45-year-olds are piling onto this, because their taste also never evolved beyond stuff for boys.
Yeah.
And then it's also like coded in terms of what it means to be kind of that sort of like teenage bully we're talking about, but for the modern era, which is again rooted in meme culture, which is born of 4chan culture and 8chan culture, and this idea of like, let's do the most ridiculous and disgusting stuff possible because there's no punchline to this joke. It's just shock. It's just like, getting in someone's face and making them feel either upset or making them like want to lash out at you.
It comes from the same place of where white people, of the desire of white people to say the N-word. It's the same place. There's no point to it other than saying the N-word. There's no, and the fact that a white person saying the N-word would be shocking. You can also see this cultural shift in the return of the R slur, for the ableist slur that has now really become mainstream. Like people just say it again. And
they
there
sure
was a
do.
like a 10-year period of my life where people understood that was a really fucked up thing to say about another person. And now people don't care anymore. And I know that this is in part like part of being reactionary, that you're always reacting against what people tell you that you can't do. But it is also like remarkably immature. And it's reveling in its level of immaturity.
Yep.
It loves the fact that you can point out all the logical reasons why this is stupid, and yet they'll still do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, because that's also like, the bottom line of this entire ideology is that, we, the in group, are allowed to do something and face no consequences. And indeed, if we do face consequences, whether they are material or social, then the people who are making us face them are wrong and they should somehow be stopped from ever doing that again. But also, yeah, it's just like creating that juxtaposition of the other guys can't do things. We can call them on quote unquote hypocrisy or whatever else. We, however, are allowed to just do anything. And we should be applauded for it. And we get to lord that over them because that's the sales pitch for our group. You want to join our group and support our group because if you do, then, you've got, you can do whatever you want to.
I guess the thing that I keep going back to though is that it feels so dead. It feels so inert. You know what I mean? All of these things don't feel, and maybe I'm out of touch. It's not impossible, but like all of these things do have this like this feeling of just like dragging and resuscitating a corpse. You know, like bringing back, like who the fuck actually actively cares about Halo right
Yeah.
now? Like
Yes.
actively. Like the only
Yeah.
reason they did that is because they announced that, like, I'm gonna be real, like kind of, it seemed like it was like SEO on the fucking remaster that like PlayStation immediately got said, like that whole conversation. And I looked at that remaster and I'm like, if you guys want that, that's fine, but like, man, it doesn't. Nobody cares about
Right.
I fucking play Halo, man. I can play Halo multiple ways. Like the Master Chief Collection is like kind of fine.
You know,
Right.
it is I mean it makes me think of the sort of shared masculinity of like the Halo choir in the bathroom, that kind of thing.
Mm.
Like that is the good old days. Those are the good old days that they're trying to harken back to. It also ties into 404 has covered this a lot. The sort of 90s AI slop that you'll see on nostalgia channels now, where it's trying to imagine a past of being a white teenage suburbanite in the
Mhm.
90s, where these are worlds that a world where Halo was non-toxic, uncomplicated fun never existed. Halo's notoriousness for being an incredibly toxic game was evident from the moment that online lobbies started existing for like the Xbox.
Right. I
was-
mean,
I was-
Xbox Live was like the original place
Yeah.
where you talked about, oh yeah, everyone's saying slurs all the time.
Yes,
And like the only reason
exactly.
people used Xbox Live was Halo.
Or using
Um,
their guitar fingers to do cool stuff. Like
Yeah, it's notable too that the other meme that now these government agencies are drawing on is like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Same time period, same sense of like they are trying to harken back to specific people's childhood. But that's always what these like far right, often fascist movements do. Is they're like remember the good old days, whatever those might be. For a while, the touchstone was the 50s or some imagined version of it. Now it's an imagined version of the 2000s. Like you got to advance it forward to keep things relevant to your prospective audience. But yeah, like they're just running the same playbook, but on the media from our youth as opposed to this other thing that they used to rely on.
It's so funny that Lord of the Rings is in this like milieu because most of my memory of Lord of the Rings is reading gay fan fiction about it. From that
Right.
same time period, I was reading about the hobbits fucking each other.
they
But
do
they
kind of
can't.
wanna, yeah.
Yeah, it just really seems like they have it. Like they have at least a very intense friendship. One of those ones where they never stop. They stop talking after a certain point in time, and then one of them comes out as gay decades later. But it is interesting because it's also like it shows the limits of their imagination. They
Right.
can't imagine that there's a massive group of people that also like Halo and also like Lord of the Rings and also like nerd stuff. This has
Well,
been the battle over
Yeah.
cultural battle over nerd stuff for like the past decade or so.
This is the other thing too that I think is very important to note about fascism as a movement and as an ideology. Fascism cannot create; it can only co-opt. That's all it ever does, is it finds something to latch onto and it's like, oh, this is ours. We're going to take it and either say that it was always ours or that like this imagined version of it that never existed is the thing that everyone should want or desire. And that's just this again. They're grabbing onto something that previously existed and that people had strong feelings about, and they're trying to graft their own thing onto it, their own ideology onto it.
Yeah.
I recently rewatched because I'm playing Final Fantasy Tactics on my Steam Deck and just watching all of John Carpenter's movies with the commentary on.
Hell yeah.
Because he has a really soothing voice and he just says really
He
funny stuff.
does.
He'll just be watching like Mouth of Madness and he'll just be like, "Oh, that shouldn't happen. That's pretty bad," you know. And it's just very funny. But I was recently rewatching They Live, and it's so funny because like that movie gets like got kind of like sucked into the like the spectacle. That's how you get like both like Cranks and Barack Obama, via Shepard Fairey. But you go back to it and it's such an organic reaction to Reaganism and to sort of like what we're talking about. This like, it's a new day in America. Like the ways in which Trump is just reheated more absurd Reagan is very obvious.
He's rehated Reagan's nachos. That's very true.
Yeah, basically. But it is funny because you just what's being shown to you is everything's fine. This is a beautiful world, blah 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 blah, and you're like, and it's a movie just about like poverty and sort of like the unifying the unifying elements of like suppression of class interest between black people and white people and across cultural lines. And it's so funny to be like, to see that and then watch like them try to do Halo memes, to do that, but with Halo and AI.
Yeah.
It's garbage.
Yeah, it's. I mean, speaking of AI, you see, I think AI has become like a language of the right aligned because of that reason you said earlier, Nathan, that these people have no original thoughts. They can only recreate or reformulate. This morning, after the incredibly racist anti-Cuomo, anti-Mamdani ad from earlier this week, Cuomo released another extremely fucked up AI ad that is itself also signaling to a certain group, right? Like who he's trying to target. It's a parody of Schoolhouse Rock, I'm Just a Bill, which is something I remember from watching from my childhood. But instead of I'm Just a Bill, it's Mamdani saying I'm just a shill, and it's AI and very disturbing to look at. But also, no one seemed to notice that the Bill in this ad is pregnant. Like, has a giant, swollen, pregnant stomach. I'm so upset by it. It's wearing red lipstick and it's pregnant. I don't know why they sexualized the Bill. It is. You can see the laziness, but also you can see why it's appealing to people. Because we have ended up in a culture where Stranger Things its final season is coming out like this week, which is an entire television show about being nostalgic for the 1980s. Like it's just like people love remembering the past and thinking that it was better back then, confronting the reality that it was always kind of bad and that things still do suck, but we can work on them to make them better is much more difficult to do than to imagine a past where everything was perfect.
Right. Especially because half the time when you're imagining a past where everything was perfect, what you're actually imagining, and this has been all to say, is just when you were a kid and things were easier because you were a kid.
Because mommy and daddy was feeding you. You didn't have to buy groceries.
I just like the idea that people love to convince themselves that these struggles, this feeling is a new thing. And like even in like big media, like They Live, I think about Falling Down so much, which is just, about like a white person realizing that like culture came for him too, finally. The thing that like had immiserated other people is now immiserating him, and he just snaps and it becomes incoherent. And it's a great movie. But like the idea that this was ever good, that there wasn't always this boiling rage inside of us. And like, granted it takes on different characters, but it has always been there because these inequities have been there.
Yes.
Right. And they've gotten worse. And so the rage has also gotten worse. Like, these things are one-to-one. As ever, there is a material cause for the problems. I mean, Hero1 in chat just said universal basic income could make us all feel like this again.
Yes, if you want to feel like mommy and daddy are buying you groceries and your fridge is always stocked, like literally universal basic income could take us there.
Yeah, then you'd be getting groceries and your fridge would be stocked.
Yeah.
Instead, everyone's about to lose SNAP benefits, and we're going to have 40 million people whose
You
fridges
know,
are the least stocked
I just want to
ever.
say, on a personal level, I'm really honestly very upset about the SNAP thing because I know so many people in college, like post college, that got on SNAP benefits in order to pursue their artistic careers in some way. I know a lot of people that would not have been able to move into stable adult careers if they hadn't had the chance to be on SNAP for like 6 months to a year. One of my very, very close friends that came to the aftermath party is one of these people,
Hmm.
and it's we're gonna see people die. Like people are gonna die.
Yeah, I will
Um,
say now more
it
than ever,
sucks.
support mutual aid. Donate. There's efforts, at least around here, I know, that I saw a video about earlier today, where they have fridges you can just contribute food to that are for the public. That people can come take
Oh
food
yeah.
from. Anything that you can do, because yeah, things will probably get ugly as a result. So if ever you were going to contribute to any sort of mutual aid, now's the time. People will
Pretty
Yes.
good.
need it
Yeah.
Food
so much.
pantries also just like a normal regular option, but I know that they're going to get a lot more people are going to get a lot more use out of them. So
Yeah.
if you have canned goods
Also,
in your
a
house, yeah.
rule of thumb with food pantries is, especially during these times, they will often become overburdened with food itself. Food can go bad. You can
Yeah.
always give them money. They will always need money.
Yes. I mean, if you
Mhm.
don't have anything to donate for any kind of crisis event, money is always needed.
Yep. Makes the world go
Uh-uh.
round, unfortunately, at least
Yeah.
until, we find a way to not do that anymore.
I'm looking at my cat who's blissfully asleep and just thinking about how she doesn't know what money is. She's never heard of money. I just give her
Yeah.
treats.
Yeah, we need it. We need to make it so the treats make the world go round.
Yeah,
That,
Ella would really like that.
yeah, that's the ticket. I mean, and who doesn't love a good treat?
I
Everyone
love
likes
treats.
Yeah.
I always love treats.
Yeah, so that's the way to handle it. I think we have solved yet another one of the world's biggest problems.
I can't
It's kind
believe
of
we keep
astounding.
doing that.
Yeah, it's kind of astounding that we ourselves are not making more money, given that I guess we're just giving these away for free. So, too good for our time. We'll be appreciated after it. But yeah, I did want to briefly touch on the JD Vance thing, though, because that feels like it's a little bit different
my
than the rest
God,
of what we've been
yes.
discussing.
No, that's
And
true.
that is a much more modern iteration of this. And also, I think it speaks just as much to, like, not just the way that this government is operating, but the fact that JD Vance himself is too online, and, like, doesn't really have time to, like, has no time or will to do anything of actual value. So just sits on the computer and is, like, fluent in Twitch drama. At
Like,
least this particular
why
Twitch drama, which is
is the
also like,
you wrote a
okay.
really great essay about
Mm.
Collargate and why it's
Mhm.
stupid, and like it is. I remember watching it start to go down in real time and thinking to myself, "Well, this is going to be an annoying week and a half for Hassan Piker."
Yeah,
It
right. You would think it would
was
just be a week and a half. Yeah,
and not something that fucking the vice president of the United States makes a joke about
The
on an
fucking
official broadcast.
worst
also,
group
I'm going to
chats.
go ahead and call it now. It's going to make its way up to Trump. Trump himself will say something about Collargate or
No,
Shopgate or
yeah.
Kaya Gate, whatever you want to call it.
I
I
think
feel
Before this is all said and done.
I feel incredibly certain that Hassan Piker is going to be called in front of Congress at some point.
I think
during
that's
the-
more likely. I
Sure.
think it's
Yeah.
not.
I mean,
I
no,
think
they
the problem.
they're already doing that. Basically, they were going to have an oversight committee hearing that included Twitch, because of Charlie Kirk related stuff. But Twitch had no tie to anything related to Charlie Kirk unless you add Hassan to the equation. They were for sure going to bring Dan Clancy up and be like, "So why do you have a terrorist sympathizer on your platform?"
Yeah.
I think.
I mean,
that was the
Hassan has
play.
come up so much during the mayoral race too. He's becoming
Yeah.
a specific political sticking point in a way that
Yes.
is extremely bad faith from
Yes.
every angle. Hassan is just a guy. Why was he brought up twice during the New York mayoral debate when he
Right,
lives
right.
in Los Angeles? It
Right.
doesn't make sense.
Also, my thing is I don't think that if you explained, I think if you explained Collargate to Trump, he would not be able to keep it in his head. Is my only
I think
suspicion.
he would say.
I think he'd know,
Trump
like,
would say something like, "Why
I think
didn't he kill the dog?"
I think he would. I think he's gonna get it wrong if he does bring it up. I think he's gonna be like, and he hit a cat with a truck
Yeah.
or something like that. Like he will not. If he first off, I think he'll just be like, I don't care about that, but I do.
Yeah.
This man
He'll
is
be
mean.
like,
He'll bring up
"Why-"
Hassan, but he won't like know. He won't be able to keep
right. He'll
like
be like,
this.
"There's a man. He lives in Utah. his dog did 9/11, and
Yeah.
all he did in response was shock the dog instead of shoot the dog. He had
Hmm.
every chance to make amends. Yeah, it's going to be something
We
ridiculous.
got this guy, Hassan
Um,
Piker. He's proud of 9/11. He said it, folks.
yeah,
He said he's proud of it, and he hates his dog.
The only
but
the
yeah,
other thing is like I don't think he can be forced to care about Twitch. I think he might if Hassan ends up on the TV enough, then that will change.
yeah, that's true.
But I think that
Yeah,
like
but yeah, this is
I
not
think
Trump's world.
these are
Yeah,
different. They're being fed by different things. Like Trump is fed by the news, and to the extent that the news
mm,
is fed by like these rancid little group chats that have just the worst, most boring fucking people on earth, then yes. But I think like the difference is that Vance is in like several discords like that contain grooming. If I had to guess
yeah,
in my head, uh,
right,
on
or
paper,
something to that
yeah, like
effect.
he seems like
Yeah,
the kind
no,
of
I do
person.
agree that like he actually gets this stuff direct. Trump at best gets it indirect, and like usually through more traditional channels, whereas Twitch is its own world. And even if Vance is not necessarily watching Twitch, he's hearing this through YouTube or wherever
Yeah.
else.
Trump is
Um,
Trump is like forming bills because he saw. I still think that the Amelia Earhart thing was him watching the History Channel. I think that that was
yeah,
still my theory is he was just like the mystery of Amelia Earhart, and it's like why didn't we figure that out? I'm the president.
And it's also like so clear now that the only reason why jewels were banned was because Barron got caught with one and for no other reason at all.
God,
Because if you
yeah,
look at the like nicotine vape market at this moment, it's 1,000 times worse.
it's
It's
so
so
much
all
worse.
bad.
I fucking hate disposable vapes,
Yeah.
except in the sense that you can harvest them for reusable little tiny batteries that are good. But like I don't need that many like lithium ions that are like this big.
Literally no one does it. There's going to be a major like landfill fire because of these tiny little batteries at some point.
Hmm.
Like
yeah.
I know that will happen.
But I do want to get to the heart of because
Go ahead.
Gita, you brought up this idea that for the right, like Hassan has increasingly become this target within the political realm. And I think it is because like to them he represents something. What he obviously represents in a very direct way is positive sentiment toward Palestinians, toward Gazans, and this notion of like humanizing them, because a lot of his coverage has been doing that ever since October 7th. And so what they want and what they found in kind of Collargate is plausible deniability to say this person is in a very black and white sense bad. So they can't just be
Hmm.
like brown guy or guy who like Hassan says he's white, but obviously he's Turkish.
Yeah.
But yeah, guy who looks like this bad because that's that's
Yeah.
no longer dog whistling. That's giving up or giving away the game.
Yeah, and
But they have this
the hypocrisy doesn't even matter given that like Christy Nome shot her own dog. Like it
right.
just it's just like they know people like dogs.
Well,
And
yeah,
so they can use that against him.
they know that in many cases, people like dogs more or people like animals more than they like people. I think we created this sort of thing where like if you see an animal suffering in any capacity, like on TV or whatever, like that must be stopped. That's evil. That's inhumane. Then again, you see like Gazans being bombed into the ground. It's like, well, they had it coming.
Yeah, that's
People
been
often
the
do
thing
that.
that's been really frustrating with me about the weaponization of this event is that the people who are deploying that are the same people who try to justify away the suffering of Gazans who are
Yeah,
being blown apart by American
right.
munitions.
And now, of course, the ludicrousness of all of this, to be clear for anybody listening or watching who's not been filled in on this and has instead heard about it second, third, fourth, fifth, or whatever hand, is Hassan didn't even harm his dog. This is all
No.
fake. It is all fucking made up.
All this
And
shit's
like
fake.
the thing that is wild to me is that people can watch the original video and talk themselves into believing that he shocked the dog when what happened is really clear, and that is that like the dog or Kaya probably just caught her dew claw on the bed. They're like, oh, she's so far away, and it's like, do you know what perspective is? Do you know how
Yeah.
perspective works with a camera?
It's also like I have
Like,
watched a dog get scared of their own fart and then yelp because they
right.
don't know what made
Um,
that sound. You know,
but-
dogs make sounds, and
Right.
not every sound is a cause for alarm. If I
Right.
was risen
Dogs are pretty
to
loud animals.
yeah, like also like I have a cat. I didn't really understand this until I was a pet owner, but like cats, they can't communicate in English, and sometimes the things that concern them are actually not of concern. You see a lot of like a lot of people wringing their hands over the language that Hassan used with his dog,
Like,
and it's just
oh, he said like "fuck it," or like "I'm gonna kill you," whatever. It's like, I have bad news for you. Dogs don't speak English.
It's
Those
like,
words
I
have
tell
no
my dumbass
significance,
cat
man.
that she's stupid as hell every day.
Right.
But
Oh
if
yeah,
any
people.
harm ever befell her, I would kill everyone on this planet, you know?
Right. No, same with my cat. And then also, there's the whole thing people do where they like take their animal's face and like, "You're so stupid, aren't you? You're such a dumb fucking idiot."
It's a classic
Yeah.
thing to do.
Guess what?
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
not abuse. It
Yes.
doesn't harm them. That's the like
It's
central
been
pact
making me
that
feel
we have made with
crazy.
animals is that they don't speak, and we still show through our actions that they are nurtured and taken care of. God, people are stupid.
Yeah.
But anyway, all I wanted
yeah.
to say there is that I think the specific way that Vance talked about this kind of squares the entire circle, which is that, and this really did feel like a line that just this podcast host fed to JD Vance, because like as soon as they started talking about this, it almost like the tone changed. Like
Mhm.
they were planning to do this one, because the full quote is like, you know, JD Vance is talking about his own dog and how well trained his dog is and how cool and masculine, I guess, that makes JD Vance. And then he's talking about the command place, which Hassan also uses to say place for a dog to go to. And so then the host was like, "You don't have to zap him like Hassan Piker." And he's like, "No, not like Hassan." And so then the host is like, you know, "Why do people do that? What does that tell you about a person when they harm animals?" And like his immediate response, which is again in the language of a fucking 12-year-old, is, "Well, I think that tells you that they're bad people. They're just like bad, you know, beyond redemption. They're just, you know, there are two classes of people. There's good and there's bad." But anyway, he's like, if you're going to actually cause suffering to an innocent animal, you're probably the kind of person who doesn't worry about suffering in people as well. And that's been my experience. If you mistreat dogs, that's almost 100% a sign that you're going to be a really terrible person. Because
I mean,
again,
yes.
they can't necessarily get him on the notion that like he's humanizing brown people, but they can for sure be like, he's a bad man because he harmed the dog. And if he's a bad man, then all people who you know, stand up for Palestinians are bad people, and
Yeah.
Palestinians are bad people, and they all deserve what's coming. It's again like it's the darker side of the everyone's 12
Yes.
rationale, which is that they also use this baby brain logic to
Yes.
justify everything up to and including dehumanization and death.
Mhm. And just like 6-7, which is also a meme made for children, if you try to explain why you don't like it or why it's not funny, or if you are saying, this is the thing I think all the time when I think about people who are like, if you harm animals, you must be a bad person. Like, I don't eat meat. Like, do you eat meat? Where do you think meat comes from?
And then you systemically
You know?
participate in the like harm and in many cases essentially torture of animals.
Yeah. Yes.
Um,
In many cases, very specifically, obviously, and clearly torture of animals.
Yeah.
And that is only going to get worse because the FDA has no longer checking things like
Oh
poultry.
yeah, you guys are
Yeah.
gonna get like we're gonna get fucking prions.
Learn
Yeah.
about the beautiful ways you can marinate tofu, my friends. You can make that shit taste real good.
There's a really I got a really good AliExpress tofu press. I gotta show you. It's
Ooh,
very
I have
nice.
the Exo Kitchen one. I really like it.
It's
But
really
yeah, no,
nice.
if you go into the actual logic of this, the minute you try to actually untangle the logic, this is why I told Riley, like, there's nothing to learn about the government from these Halo memes.
Yeah.
You become then the nerd. Like, it's based
Yeah.
on nerd jock logic. If you try to be like, well, actually, you immediately become a target of japes and jokery, right? Like, there's no winning with this. There's just like you can't win against a group of middle school children saying 6-7. You can't win against this. It is a rhetorical shield that's perfect because it's so fucking stupid.
I also want to say I really appreciated sort of Jason. This I really appreciated Luke's piece we had on the site called "Not Commenting is Commenting."
Yes,
Yeah,
that was a great,
yeah,
that was a
because
great piece.
the other elephant in the room is that Microsoft has just said nothing about this, despite the fact that it is overt copyright infringement. That
Yep.
they are weaponizing
Overt.
a property. Yeah, and also that they are using art from AI, which directly steals their art. Like, I mean, once again, demonstrating the ability of AI. It's like so many of these companies, like, no, it doesn't copyright infringe, and it's like, they just typed in "make Trump Master Chief," and it did it.
Yeah,
I saw-
if
yeah.
if the AI recognizes the words Master Chief, it is like violating your copyright. It is.
Right. But all these companies are too cowardly to step in and do anything because they're worried about the government, even though like they're giant companies and they control the economy. And if they all decided to just like stop playing ball for a little bit, then they could sink the government easily. But it goes back to the fact that, especially amongst the people who run these things, there's solidarity when it comes to wealth, but there's not the idea of wider solidarity. And indeed, they've worked their entire lives to crush it amongst like people and its ability to be effective. So like, of course, they're going to all cower one by one and kiss the ring and all of that. Like that's how they operate.
It's also like, yeah, it's just this element of like cowardice. I don't know. I feel like they're like this was more like forgivable, like a little while ago, where it's like, oh, they're just gonna make our lives hell. And I think as time has gone on, the reality is, yeah, no, they will crumble with like a little bit of pushback. I think we saw that with like the
Yep.
lawfare stuff, where like initially people were like, okay, we'll do pro bono work, and the ones that like didn't and were like, fuck you, we're gonna sue you, like basically won. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
this at this point, if you are not commenting about this, you are straight up saying I like this and it's good on some level. Like,
Right.
I cannot interpret it as anything aside from an endorsement or just the idea that any argument against this would undercut the thing you have all of your money in. Which is like the best interpretation is like, oh, well, if we argue that they're stealing our copyright, what are we doing? But I do
Well, it's
so do
also like,
thing like they like it. They're friends with those guys. They don't give a
yeah,
shit.
yeah,
You
they
know?
definitely. Well, and also to pull it back a little bit further, like the United States is now to a large extent the AI economy. It is holding up,
Mhm.
a large portion of what remains of our functional economy.
I
The
mean,
U.S.
just look at
government
the
is absolutely
donors.
boosting AI every
Yeah.
chance it gets.
Look at the
And
donors
so they are
for
all
the ballroom, for
right.
instance.
Yeah.
Like all big tech, almost
Yeah.
the big tech, a lot of it big tech that already has an investment in AI. They made a deal with this economic sector in order to
Mhm.
keep the economy afloat, and it's just payback. It's like pushbacks to each other all the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they're all inside this bubble together, holding hands and chanting, like hoping that it doesn't burst anytime soon. And so I think that, yeah, if they started interfactional warfare of any sort, then they would be endangering themselves and their own bottom lines. And all they care about is their bottom lines. So they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that really sums it up, Nathan. So if
Yeah.
there's room for an incredible transition, now is the time. So I'm
Um,
waiting with bated breaths on your wit and wisdom, Nathan Grayson.
I mean, and this is going to be a really complex one. A lot of mental gymnastics, heavy lifting. You know what another big company is? It's Amazon.
Baby,
One of the
it's
biggest, but
Amazon.
hey, in terms of personnel, getting smaller because they laid off 14,000 people, which is a big number, no matter how you slice it. Even at a company the size of Amazon, that is still a substantial chunk. And part of the reason why they're doing that, by the way, this would have been a better transition. What am I thinking? Is to replace a lot of those jobs with AI. I believe that is their longer term plan and strategy. But in the meantime, in our sector, that led to a lot of people in games losing their jobs. Specifically, Amazon is shutting down New World, which is an MMO that they launched in like 2020, I believe. They're sunsetting that. And then I saw earlier today, although this is not confirmed, it's based on one, I guess, laid off employee basically talking on LinkedIn and then deleting it really fast. But it sounds like their attempt at a Lord of the Rings MMO, another one, because there is one existent, is also potentially scrapped entirely. But that's
Yeah,
less.
because Bezos has a personal interest in Lord of the Rings, and that's why there's a Lord of the Rings television show that isn't very good. Also, is that he personally wants to be, he loves Lord of the Rings and personally wants to have a part in
Like
the
what,
Transmedia
Rings of
properties.
Power? What is the show called?
Yeah, it's Rings of
again?
Power. I
Yeah.
watched a lot of the first season with my husband, and it really is like too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Not enough. Doesn't really make sense, and it struggles to find a through line, I would say.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I
Also,
watched
it's
like
not
4 or
great.
5 episodes,
Because
and
they-
then I was like, this is a very lavish production in which nothing happens.
They like
Yes,
had
that was my
the
exact feeling.
they had the rights to like one part of Lord of the Rings, but not the other because this shit is fucking like cut up like 3 different ways. I think what did they got like the Silmarillion or something like that, or
It's not even the Silmarillion. It's some of the annexes in the Silmarillion. So
Oh,
not
okay.
the text of the
They
Silmarillion
didn't use the
itself.
Silmarillion. They used the other stuff that wasn't in the Sim. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I know. Real meaty material
And
to
they
work
probably
with.
paid like fucking
Mhm.
$1 billion. I forget how much.
I mean, it looks beautiful. I would say the version of Rivendell that's in the show, is that Rivendell, or am I thinking about other elf people? Whatever. Someone will correct me. But the elf palace that's in the show, I really love, obviously, the movies, but you don't really get a sense of where the place where the elves live. And they do, like, really build it out and, like, make an effort to make it feel like an actual place. The actress they hired for Galadriel is like a well-known European actress that a lot of my friends got really sad when they learned she was gonna be in this show. There's a lot of money in this show and on the screen. It's just dumb and like unwatchably boring. But
Um, but
yeah.
a kind of big through line here, and this is true across the video game industry, is following many different layoffs, closures, etc. Is of course mismanagement. The real epidemic in the video game industry. It's not lack of investment. It's not. I mean, those that hurts, but the real issue is mismanagement, which always results in layoffs. While the higher ups keep their jobs. We've written about this a million times. Um, and in Amazon's case, what people kind of dug up and were reminded of is that Amazon has spent basically the entire existence of its games division trying to take on Steam,
God.
which is just not a winning strategy. Indeed, we've seen other big companies try to do it, EA with Origin and things like that in the
Mhm.
past. Um, but yeah, so people dug up this LinkedIn post that was made by a like head of Amazon Games, the former VP of Prime Gaming at Amazon, and so they published this
Yeah.
before the layoffs about 8 months ago. And so yeah, what they said is, as VP of Prime Gaming at Amazon, we failed multiple times to disrupt the game platform Steam. We were at least 250 times bigger, which is probably true. Like, Valve is a relatively small
Yeah.
company despite all the money they make. And we tried everything. But ultimately, Goliath lost. Here's why. And they go into it. But yeah, they tried with Twitch at one point, which was really dumb. They're like, let's transform this live streaming platform into a PC game store or into a gaming store. That did not take off. And then let's see. Oh yeah, what was the first way that they tried? Was through acquisition. We acquired Reflexive Entertainment, a small PC game store, and tried to scale it. It went nowhere. And then yeah, they tried Twitch. They thought the gamers would naturally buy from us because they're already using Twitch. That was wrong. And then
Mhm.
most recently, they built something called Luna, a game streaming service that let people play with a high-end PC. And then this is wild because like they're still boosting Luna. They at TwitchCon this year listed Luna as one of their main sponsors, which is hilarious because it's Amazon sponsoring Amazon. And then they recently took Prime Gaming, which is a big offering on Twitch, which basically allows people to subscribe to Amazon Prime and then they get a free subscription to a Twitch streamer of their choice every month via Amazon Prime. And they integrated it into Luna. So they changed the name. They rebranded it to be part of Luna. That happened like last month. Um, and yet that is also kind of a failure on their end. So yeah, they tried over and over and over across basically a whole decade to take on Steam, and it never worked. And like putting all those resources into that, of course, was going to end in disaster, but they just didn't stop. They thought that they could money their way through it, which that happens with gaming platforms over and over. That was also like Microsoft trying to take on Twitch with Mixer, which is hilarious because Twitch is Amazon's thing. But you have these like endemic platforms that grew out of actual gaming communities, and then big companies say, well, whatever, we can beat them because we have all this money. And then of course they can't because they don't understand any of these platforms or why people use platforms in the first place, which is often the simple equation, the simple math of because my friends are there.
Yeah, in
Yep.
order to compete with Steam, you would have to create an impetus for everyone that's put their entire gaming collection in Steam and like plays with their friends, those games with their friends through Steam. You would have to
Right.
create an impetus for all those people to move. Epic came close with the Epic launcher and the Epic
Yeah.
store
Yeah.
because they had Fortnite, because they
Yeah.
had this big killer game that people were already playing with their friends. But they're sort of shot themselves in the foot in a bunch of different ways. Part of it being that like Fortnite is also available on many, many, many different platforms, including your phone.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and the
mean,
people who play
Fortnite is the
Fortnite
platform.
also, it is the
Epic Game
platform.
Store is a like, symbiotic relationship, a parasitic creature that lives on Fortnite.
Yeah, basically, yeah. No, God. It was a valiant attempt, and they had probably the most momentum that any competitor has tried because they had this one big service that people really liked. But the Epic Game Story really is a Fortnite launcher, and like that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
People
just
only
it's
and their strategy of like buying up all of these games and having them be timed exclusives meant that you only ever used the Epic Game Launcher to go play one of those exclusives. And then eventually people got fed up with that and would just wait months on end for a game to come out over on Steam. Like I
yeah.
remember that I think the companies became wise to that as well. You get like you get the lion's share of your player base as soon as that Steam launch happens. So they would just like get the bag from Epic and then wait for a little bit and then okay, we're on Steam now. 1 million players.
It's also just like it's one of those things where it's like I don't know. I think a lot about Alexa. You know, like to the extent that like that Amazon was good at dominating a platform, it's ebooks. Like ebooks, people just kind of go to Kindles, and you know, there's like this sort of console like Loss Leader. You know, even within that, like it's sort of a relatively niche thing. You know, you can still get books, what yada yada yada. The library exists, but like they were good at creating a device that was like, here's the thing, people use it as a clear use case, and it dominates an entire market sector. And even with TV, like, okay, you already have this thing, here's some TV too. It's an extra part of this. Alexa has never made sense. They lose money on that shit. You know what I mean? And the yada 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 for like the Echo Dot and all that was like, well, what if it was a thing where you like actually would order things with it? And nobody used it for that. And that was like the thing you were supposed to do. It was supposed to say like, hey, do you need toilet paper? And you'd be like, no, I'm going to go buy toilet paper like the regular way. And like
Yeah.
that's literally what the gaming thing feels like. It feels like they just kind of this like limp, half-hearted, but like still really expensive way of committing to something without imagining why somebody would use it or how they would interact with it.
Yep. Yeah, but no. So anyway, Amazon. I guess what really sucks about the whole situation is that Amazon, as with many other game companies, or as with other many like major companies that entered the gaming space, thinking that they would just take over by throwing money at it, did like hire a lot of talented people,
Yeah.
and now a lot of those people are jobless, and the project that they spent so much time working on is basically in the dirt. That is never the ending that you want to see to a story of ambitious people trying something.
Yeah, of course.
So,
I mean, especially with having nothing to show for all of that time. Like, as
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
sure, as we all know, a lot of these things are probably buried under NDAs, and you have this enormous like part of your resume where you can just say, I was at Amazon, but I can't show you anything we worked on.
yeah, especially not if it's like a Lord of the Rings game. Are you kidding? That's behind so much red tape that
Yeah.
it would take an entire fucking mining team to dig through. But yeah, and like that I think contributes. I mean, it doesn't just contribute. It is perhaps the root cause of like this current moment in the games industry where there are so many talented people out of work that no one can find a job. Because you're not just competing with the normal job market, you're competing with the industry's best and brightest. People with 15, 20 years of experience who like should be leads at the biggest companies on earth.
Yeah.
And they can't even find work. So then if you're trying to break in, forget about it. Yeah, because you didn't just have this with like Amazon. You had all these other companies lay people off recently. You had the Embracer implosion,
Yeah.
which, was a crisis unto itself. Yeah. And so like these things stack on top of each other. And eventually you just have so many people that are the like pinnacle of the industry out of work that, yeah, it's just like, you can't come back from that.
It does remind me a little bit of when I got laid off from Vice, where I was looking at jobs and then seeing other people get laid off and then like slowly realize like, oh, these people are all going to be applying to the same job as me.
Yep.
Uh-oh, I'm in danger.
Not good.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there are radical pivots you can make, but I think a lot of people across a lot of different industry sectors, we know the most about the video game industry because that's what we spend a lot of our time thinking about and reporting on.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
across multiple different industry sectors, you're seeing this thing where the brain drain is so intense that also when jobs do open up, it's some of the most experienced people are the first in line for those jobs, and
Yeah.
Mhm.
you will never be able to compete with them. Like there's no point in trying in a lot of ways. It can be incredibly dispiriting.
Yeah.
I mean, my husband changed careers. I mentioned this a couple of times. Before I got the call from Luke about Aftermath, I was sincerely thinking about restarting my retail career and like going
Yeah.
back to retail, being a bookseller
Oh,
maybe.
sorry, Angela in chat just said, I don't get why Amazon would try to compete with established digital marketplaces when they could probably dominate in selling physical copies across all platforms. Because it's Amazon. They want to be the biggest storefront. They want to be the only thing that anybody buys from.
Yeah,
Period.
they're the everything store.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the modus operandi that Bezos has said from the beginning. They want to be the only place you ever buy anything from. And
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
includes digital games on top of physical games. Like, you're right that your strategy is smarter. And like, they could hook up with retailers like Lost and Cult and all these people who sell collector things and be
Yeah.
like the go to marketplace for
But of
Nendoroid or
course, those are
something.
like small boutique things. Whereas, like,
Yeah.
they looked at Steam and saw gold in the hills. They're like,
Yes.
that's a fucking money printer over there. And if we can link it into our larger money printing machine, then, that starts to look like something on the balance sheet. Whereas all these other like little ideas where we win some, we lose some, that's too complicated and it won't really lead to anything at scale. Whereas if they think, okay, if we can take over this entire sector, if we can integrate our monopoly with their monopoly, or rather
Yeah.
steal their monopoly from them,
So
then,
it's like this idea of building trust
Mm.
just doesn't exist because they want to just go in with a big bulldozer and build on top of the thing that was there before.
Right, as
You
Streethan said, it's
could,
infinite growth mentality.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
You could build over time a kind of gamer haven using Amazon's platforms. And I'm sure lots of people have great ideas on how that would work. But they want to enter the space and immediately be the most successful because that's how Amazon works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
But anyway, let's see. Actually, because we never talked about this before we started the stream. Do y'all have Animal Crossing opinions, or do you not? Because we can talk about that,
You
or
know,
we can.
the more
Mm,
that I think about New Horizons, and I
mm.
know this will be a hot take, the more I think it's not as good as the games that came before. And
Oh,
I
I
think
yeah.
think that
part of
that's kind
that,
of the. I think that
yeah.
that's the general consensus now.
Yeah, the fact that your villagers aren't mean to you. I haven't visited my island in over a year, and I know
Mm.
if I pick it up, nothing will have changed. And that feels very unsatisfying as an Animal Crossing player. And
Yeah.
that's really the only thing I want to say. So I'm happy for the people who are happy, but I'm glad people are coming around to my opinion, which is that the game, in order to feel like a real place that you live in and that your animals have real personalities, they have to get mad at you sometimes.
Yep.
And they've completely removed all of that friction, and it's just much worse.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because I bring this up abruptly, quite frankly, because Nintendo announced like a big 3.0 update today out of the blue. Yeah, no, there's a YouTube comment that was like, "Did Nintendo just come back from the store with milk?"
I
They
saw
did,
the
in fact, go
announcement
out to
news.
get cigarettes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that update news, and it really does feel like they don't know. Like they thought that this would have a long tail because of COVID. That
Right.
game coming out right before everyone couldn't go outside anymore was a huge fucking thing. But that clearly was not the case because I am the one of the biggest Animal Crossing fans of all time, and I have no desire to return to
No.
New Horizons. I just don't. Like I feel like in many ways I feel like it is one of the versions of the game that you can become done with, where you can make an island and then be done. And that never really felt like the case for previous Animal Crossing games.
But yeah. Let's see. So yeah, I guess the big addition for 3.0 is a new resort hotel on the pier, which
Oh,
functions
wow.
very similar to the Happy Home Paradise DLC. It's run by Cap'n and his family, marking his relatives' return as interactive NPCs. Players will take on the role of a decorator for this new establishment, designing rooms based on themes to suit different guests. Um, which, yeah, it sounds like its own little sort of cordoned off thing that could be fun. And then it's adding a bunch of like quality of life changes. new currency for the hotel stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it is a substantial update, but it will still be the same game underneath all of the bells, haha, and whistles.
Get out of here, Nathan. No, I mean, what it needs to do in order to be a better game is like, it's a more fundamental change. And that is, you can't treat the customer is not always right. The customer does not actually always know what they want.
Okay. I think what happened here, though, also, is that between kind of previous Animals Crossing, which is the correct plural, and New Horizons,
Don't like that at all.
News Horizon, which would be the correct plural of that.
Yeah, I like that.
Tomato,
actually.
tomato,
I do-
tomato, tomato.
I do like that one. I do like that one.
But anyway, we got cozy games as an idea.
Yeah.
And Nintendo was, even though cozy games emerged in a lot of ways from Nintendo's influence via Animal Crossing, then they became much like kind of gentler in the overall way that they like speak to the player and treat you. And so then that DNA got added to Animal Crossing. And then also like Animal Crossing just originally emerged in this like edgier era of games writing in general. And so yeah, you had, all of your villagers being generally very mean to you, like crazy mean for how people remember those games versus the reality of them. But yeah,
I
then like
remember
it
when
got hit with the
you-
cozification beam,
Yeah.
and now everyone's just like extremely gentle and chill and like inoffensive in this way that, as you're saying, there's no friction. So you're just like, all right, hi, like interchangeable villager number 9,000. Like
Yeah.
I don't really care that much about you, but
I
you're
keep-
here.
I have this fucking lamb, Pierrot, who is a clown, and I keep not
Mm.
playing and hoping he moves away in the interim. But he's always there when I start up the game. And his house is just like sky wallpaper, sky flooring, and a popcorn machine, and a tiny little machine that just plays circus music all the time. And I hate Pierrot the clown. I hate him, and I want him to die. And I can't get rid of him. If
Yeah,
you
it does
turned
suck.
off previous versions of Animal Crossing, you would months later open it up again and see that multiple villagers had moved away and left you letters.
Right.
Like that was such an impetus to keep checking in on it regularly. And then also when you lost interest in it and came back to it, I mean things had changed and it felt like your town was a real place and you could start back from the bottom and build it back up again.
Yeah, like it's
With-
a living place. It lives without you too.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. And Nico in chat is saying that also New Horizons felt a little bit grindy. I think that was also a problem of the cozification beam here, which is that Animal Crossing was rude to you, the game. Like the game itself was rude. I remember when I accidentally, when I had the GameCube version of Animal Crossing, like power outages or the console got unplugged.
Yeah, Mr. Rossetti is the ultimate example of this.
That bitch made me write a letter apologizing to him for
Yeah.
accidentally turning my game off, Mr. Rossetti.
Right.
And there's not that level of aggression from the game doesn't play with your emotions like that anymore. And part of it, I think that makes the game feel grindy because the game would be very upfront in the Animal Crossing version. That's like, okay, you get a certain amount of favors you can do for villagers per day, and then they're done. And there's nothing left for you. And there's nothing left for you to do. But the New Horizons, it feels grindy because the game gives you too many other things to do. It's a game best enjoyed in like an hour a day. But people can now really just like grind for tickets to get the furniture they want. And it doesn't feel as satisfying as waiting and trying to save up for something for like months in real time.
Yeah. No, let's see. Arctic Pyro in chat says the kindness of the villagers feels unearned when they're kind from the moment I meet them. Like I'm
Yes.
talking to characters instead of a person.
I completely agree with that too. Like, why do you like me so much? I haven't done anything for you.
Yeah. And then Apple Cider says, I think older versions of Animal Crossing felt a little more tied into the cultural idea of community that had very real rules. Which, yeah, again, there were bounds to it, including, as we were saying, Mr. Rossetti, who became like a meme, who became like one of the calling cards of that game. Everybody knows who he
It's
is.
fun. It was like a Kojima thing,
Yeah.
Like it's the
Right,
like,
right.
the
Kind of like fun meta thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So it turns out we had very strong Animal Crossing opinions.
Well, no, I've
actually.
got one more thing to point out too, which is that, we're talking about New Horizons being influenced by kind of trends in video games and changing as a result in ways that undermined its own formula. The new trend that is going to hit Animal Crossing now apparently is Fortnite. because New Horizons is going to get Lego branded content. Splatoon as well. That's another Nintendo property, so it's a little bit less Fortnite in that regard.
That's
but yeah,
fine.
it seems like they're
That's
going to.
When it happens between God-fearing Nintendo and Nintendo adjacent properties, then that's a Smash Brothers. When it happens
Right.
outside of that, then it's a Fortnite. That's how that works.
Yeah.
And the
That's true.
Fortnite's evil. Fortnite's evil, and Smash is
Yeah.
good. Because they invented Smash, but Fortnite is just like a perversion of it.
I'm
I'll take
so
that.
in
I'll
awe
take
of
that.
your brain, your beautiful, massive brain.
I
love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
But yeah, let's see. On the upside, this is mostly going to be a Smash Brothers. Let's see. Many delightful new Lego items, including wallpaper and clothing, be available through Nook Shopping. Legend of Zelda items can be obtained by activating certain amiibo. Animal Crossing-ified versions of Tulin and Monero can also visit and inhabit player islands. Yeah, so I mean, oh yeah, and then characters from Splatoon.
Fine.
So that's it for now. But you gotta figure that, like, if the Lego thing goes well, then they'll think, okay, well, what other properties can we get on board?
If they
Um,
introduce like one battle after another characters, then yeah, that's a Fortnite.
We need an open bathrobe. Come on, guys. We need to get people do the lockjaw walk. Come on.
Yeah.
If
it's
I
time
can
for an official
visit,
version
yeah,
of Mr. Beast in Animal Crossing. He can
If-
be one of your. No, he shows up to your island and then subjects you to a gauntlet of horrible tests, and that's how you get rid of your villagers. Is you collaborate with Mr. Beast to torture them for content until they want to leave.
if there's a thing they introduce that has a weirdly racial component in some way that like they didn't think through in any capacity, like when they had the MLK thing and didn't think of the consequences, or like the whole Peacekeeper dance, then they're doing
Yes.
Fortnite. But
Yes.
otherwise it's fine.
God, it was so funny when Fortnite got super mad at James Gunn. It's like, what do you think is going to happen? The man
gonna happen,
hates
man.
Nazis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And
if you
also,
can't, go ahead.
Treethan says Hassan's dog is actually a villager now. That'd be great. Fit right in.
Kaya! I'm actually high key obsessed with Kaya. I love her. She's
Yeah,
so
people like Kaya
cute.
a lot.
Oh my god, I love that clip of Kaya just getting up from her bed and putting her head through the like hole between Hassan's arm and just be like, "You're done with streaming now.
Yep.
You're done. I'm Kaya." God, I love that dog. I have the Kaya Chaos T-shirt.
Mm.
That's free.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Parasocial relationship with a dog. What times we live in. All right.
I got other games to play. I don't need that.
Yeah. Let's see. Speaking of what times is it? Well, because we started late, we are going a little bit late, but in terms of the amount of time that we've taken up, not that much. Chris, you wanted to talk about Final Fantasy Tactics.
Fucking playing Final Fantasy Tactics game.
Tell me about those
Yeah.
tactics. I mean, we talked a little bit about Vagrant Story and the whole Evilly saga while I was at your house the other day.
We did talk about how good
Yeah.
Vagrant Story is.
Oh my God.
Despite the stated opinion of the podcast vis-a-vis Luke, which is that you should be forced to play all games in their original state with absolutely no quality of life improvements, which I understand and I sort of agree with half the time. They fucking knocked it out of the park. I know that this is sort of a game that people have already come to, but they did kind of the best version of this. They had you can play the regular ass game, or you can play the new one where there's a camera that lets you look over the map, which is not something you were able to do and was in fact an annoying part of playing Final Fantasy Tactics. They translated. They give it a new translation that's like kind of a middle ground between, Blame Yourself or God, original PlayStation 1, kind of doesn't work, kind of badly translated, but in a charming way, and War of the Lions, PSP, overly purple, Alexander O. Smith adjacent, like weirdly too Shakespearean. And then they gave it real voice actors with like actual ass British people, and it fucking is so good. And I am now doing what I do every single time I play this game, which is I'm going into Mandalia Plains and I am going to grind until I have everything. That's mainly what I love about this game, is that you can immediately turn you can just level up every job, and you can do it in the silliest way possible. and that's what's great about it is the game just is openly inviting you to break it in half at every time, and most of the way you do that is by going into the first zone, killing everything except like one goblin, turning him into a frog, cornering him, and then having all your guys think really hard until they know math. That is literally the experience of playing Final Fantasy Tactics. It is using focus or chakra in the case that you need to heal yourself. I saw one tutorial. I've seen these before. I've been doing this every single time I play Final Fantasy Tactics, by the way. It fucks up the game. It's like you shouldn't it doesn't really help you a lot. It kind of fucks up the difficulty curve. It definitely fucks up the storytelling, but it is fun to do. And now that I have a Steam Deck, that is the best way to do it, because tactics games are meant to be played on mobile. They're meant to be, they are the original 2-screen experience. You are meant to be playing Advance Wars or Fire Emblem on a little tablet while you kind of watch a movie that you're into.
I was taught this as a youth, because I played before I ever played Final Fantasy Tactics, the main game, I played Tactics Advance and Tactics Advance 2. Those were
fucked
both
up games.
perfect on GBA.
Fucked up games.
GBA SP.
I was about to say though, I currently am playing just a fuck ton of Hades 2 while the World Series is going on, because baseball is the perfect accompaniment to a game like Final Fantasy Tactics. It really is, because there's tactics going on up there and tactics going on down there.
It's true. Right. It's Tactics Advance is like if the Neverending Story was more fucked up, or like was like closer to the book, I guess. Which I've never read the Michael Ende book, but it's apparently
nonetheless still more straightforward stories than like Tactics, which is very like political and very full of like all of these shifting alliances and intrigue and pettier ideas. And so like I like that, because when I was younger and I played the Tactics Advance games, people were like, "Oh, that's tactics for babies." And I was like, well, I'm a baby. This is the one that I need as an on-ramp into the real one.
Yeah, they're right. They're not wrong. They are also like, it is interesting because they are rancid. Like the boys in those games fucking suck. And I do think I like the idea of like, not that Tactics is intrinsically political, but it's just full of fucking awful people. It's just the thing, they didn't even take the politics thing. They just take like, what's a nasty little guy who's just complicit, and just, it's like your disabled friend who's like, I would love to live in this world forever, and it's like, tough. Go to fucking hell. We're going back to the real world. What if I like it here? Tough shit.
Yeah, sorry, bitch. Gotta get out of here.
You're gonna be disabled forever. It's like, it's a really evil game. I mean, I forget that what was nasty about A2. I do remember playing it, but it's the thing about the remaster though is that like the problem with, I mean, aside from just difficulty with translation, is that like it's a deeply political thing. It's also kind of a very nuanced and like interlocking, although not like Tactics Ogre level. But like it can be hard to connect to the pros sometimes, particularly if you're used to the PlayStation 1, because it's just, there's so much of it, and it's like, you're dealing with like the intricacies of like of states and class and all these things. But like the second you hear somebody say it out loud, it's like, oh, I immediately understand like vividly like what the dynamics between these characters are. Like, it takes a reality, and I'm ruining that by going in and making them all fucking like ninjas that can teleport. Like, you're supposed to be a squire at this point. I'm just going and doing the like teleports behind you, nothing personal kid neck snap shit to every one of them, and I love doing it, and you can't make me do it any other way. I'm sorry, everyone's like, oh, I'm doing a tactician route, and I'm doing it, and it's a no grind. No, fuck that. I'm getting dual wield. Everybody gets that shit. It's going to be great. And I love doing it every single time. It's my comfort zone. It's my little thing. It's very much, it is kind of cozy for me in a way that's very weird. And it involves like, a bunch of people screaming in a field for like 5 hours. It's just so good. And yeah, the soundtrack rocks. You should play Final Fantasy Tactics, and it's great on a Switch 2 or a,
Steam Deck?
it's on Switch 2, right? I assume it is, right?
Yeah.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. But it's on a Steam Deck, and I love it on a Steam Deck. It's so good on the Steam Deck, and
Hell yeah.
and it's the only one. The only time I will say in recent memory where I'm like, that is the version, if you have not played this, that you should play. The
Mhm.
only other time that has happened for me personally is Live Alive, which is the
Oh,
best.
yeah.
That
I've
is
heard
the
that too.
oh wow, they did such a good job with that, and it's very funny because Square Enix will just, they're so all over the place with remasters. They'll give you like, hey, do you want to see the worst pixel art you've ever seen of these characters with the worst font possible, and no, you can't play the original in case you want to? No, but in this they're like,
Yeah.
you can play the weird version, where there's a circle. They like add trees to show you like what your path is. It's actually really nice. They make it so you can back out of battles a little bit easier. Like just little tiny things that you would normally be doing using save states to do. They're just doing, and it's like, yeah, it's a great version, and I'm immediately ruining the experience, and I'm glad I'm doing it again. I did this a year
Oh, yeah.
ago. I played this on the fucking the TV that was over there, but at this place, I've played this game exactly 1 year ago on a Mister, and I'm doing it again because I love that fucking game because it's the best Final Fantasy that is just generally, even though I know people say that doesn't count.
Yeah, I buy it.
You sold me.
Yeah. Now it's time to sell people on subscribing to the website.
What?
Because if you do that, if you go to aftermath.site/products to subscribe to the website, then you could gain access to our mailbag where you can ask us questions on this very show in this very segment that we're about to do right now. Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy.
Anyway.
I'm losing my mind.
All right. Starting with Ghost Thin, Tree Thin, he's many different kinds of than. In the spirit of the holidays, what Halloween costumes did you wear as kids? I bet they were all super cool and none embarrassing.
I had to learn how to create Halloween costumes that were things that my peers could recognize because I was doing things in middle school, such as dressing up as Haru Hara Haruko from FLCL and Sailor Saturn from a season of Sailor Moon that had not come out in America yet. So I was always explaining what my Halloween costume was to people. Now I tend to go for things that are more generic, like a pop star or a witch, generally.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, because are y'all the kind of people who are fine with explaining your Halloween costume, or does it drive you insane?
For me, it drives me insane because of my youth, right? I
Mm.
would be okay being something specific if I hadn't gone through it every year. Every year of adults being like, well, isn't that creative? Like, no, I can't do that anymore. You got to recognize what I am.
Yeah, yeah, it's sort of where I'm at too. I've had a few years more recently as well where I did kind of a off the beaten path Halloween costume, and initially I was like okay with explaining the joke, especially because in 1 year, explaining the joke was vital to the costume, because I was like, it was the year when they added Sora to Smash, and they're like, this is the last character that we're ever going to add to this version of the game, and so I dressed as Waluigi, but with a Keyblade. And when people are like,
That's
"What's
really
going on
good.
there?" I was like, "I'm the final character that they added to Smash, Sora from Kingdom Hearts." And I just said it with a straight face, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, this is."
Yeah, I bet a lot of people were really mad at you that year. What's it like walking around knowing that a lot of people are going to get mad at you as soon as you open your mouth? The fucking shit-eating grin on your face.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's my whole life every day.
Yeah,
What is it
you
like?
love that.
It's like breathing. It's like looking
Yeah.
up and seeing that the sky is blue.
I just did it. I was very unoriginal with Halloween. I think I just like being a Dracula.
Yeah, I can see that. You could make a good Dracula.
Before
I mean,
I started,
I would also.
yeah,
Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, I was gonna say before I started getting really serious about Halloween that one time, several times actually, and then stopped because it was too much work and COVID happened. I was like all over the place, but yeah, mainly it was just Dracula.
I mean, I would postulate almost, if there wasn't probably a Wikipedia that explained the real history of Halloween, that Halloween was invented when one guy said, "I just want to dress as a Dracula, and I need a reason to do it.
It's so
I need an
cool.
excuse."
So much fun.
Yeah.
Dracula's so cool.
But no, when I was younger, when I was a kid, let's see, standout costumes. I was Scorpion from Mortal Kombat 1 year. That was during my Mortal Kombat phase, as you can imagine.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, loved the ninjas. The most embarrassing one, and oh no, I can't believe that I'm going to confess this live in front of a studio audience.
Is happening.
Oh my god, this was
I can't wait.
so bad. This is so
Really
bad.
excited already.
So before the term OC even existed for
Okay.
characters that you made,
Love this.
I made all sorts of like Dragon Ball Z OCs. I used to
Of
like to draw a
course.
lot, and so I drew one that was supposed to be me, and like then I dressed as that character for Halloween one
No,
year.
that's you said that like we were going to be embarrassed for you, but I'm
Yeah, no, you're
honestly
fine.
I'm embarrassed
really
for me,
excited for you.
because I
No,
remember what
that's
that
fine.
OC looks like, and that sucked. And involved also carrying around a big stick.
Oh yeah!
God, it was
Nathan,
so
as
bad.
soon as you find a picture of this, you would have to send it to me.
You have to send
Nathan,
it
No,
to
I
us.
think
I'm
they've all
sorry.
been destroyed. Not by me,
No!
by my mom moving out of her house because there was like a pipe issue and a bunch of stuff got ruined
Okay.
by water. But yeah, anyway. That
I love dressing up as your own OC for Halloween. Nathan,
That's
your
so
destiny
baller.
was
That's so
always to be
cool.
sitting in this chair right now.
You've always
definitely.
been
No, without a
here.
doubt. No,
Yeah.
this is part of the reason that I, wanted to start Aftermath in the first place. I was like, there is not another job for me. No other line of work, no other destiny will accept this person.
That's so
So-
true.
Um,
Oh god.
Anyway, from Send, fall brings with it its own assortment of meals and treats, whether using seasonal fruits and veggies or using cooking styles that can help keep the house warm, such as stews and baking. Wow, this is very informative. What fall dish do you think you do best, and which do you want to get good at, or maybe even go for it this year?
That's a good question. I'm great at stews. I make a
Hmm.
lot of dal during this season also. And I love roasting vegetables of any kind. I got a bunch of purple sweet potatoes. I'm going to roast those this weekend. But I would love to be better at making soup. I feel like
Yeah.
my soup skills are only mediocre.
I love delicata. It's like the best squash. Like objectively, I'm
true.
sorry. It's
That
like
is
it's just
objectively
the
true,
best
that's fair.
one. I'm sorry. I know that's a very like bougie thing to say, but like
Mhm.
one, it's like every time it comes up, it's like, oh yeah, this is just what I'm gonna be eating this like every other day. And I don't know where it was hiding. Did they just make it? Is this a new thing? But it's the best one. Butternut is not as good. I'm sorry. I also want to get better at making dal, but that's not really a seasonal thing, I guess. It's just a nice stew.
Yeah, it really is just a nice stew to have around. I love it in the winter because it is so hearty though, and it's spicy, so it keeps you really warm.
I just love having like hang around the house just in like a fucking vault. like in like the kind of vault you keep weed in, because asafoetida is just it's pungent. It is a
Oh yeah, I
pungent-
remember you brought me some
had to.
asafoetida, and you double wrapped it in tin foil. You were not
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's like Uber garlic. It's fucking incredible. But yeah, no, I love going to Patel Brothers, and I like there's actually a good what was it back when Instant Pots got really big, and notably in India. Instantly Indian was a really good cookbook, and that's just like, do you want to make a bunch of dal in a fucking Instant Pot, because that's like half of what people do. It's like, yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I want to get better at
absolutely.
pies though. I do want to get better at pies.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I understand that completely.
I have a pumpkin chili that I make every year that I really like, and that other people tend to really like. And I should make it more often because I do it like once or twice in fall, and then it goes back into the recipe Disney vault. I also just don't cook enough, which is my own personal failing. So,
Mm.
just
Boo,
wanna
boo this
get-
man.
Boo.
Boo.
Yeah, that's fair. I deserve
It's
it.
fine, don't worry.
All right, from Mystic Eddie T. In the spirit of Halloween, what are your favorite pieces of horror/Halloween media and film, video games, TV, etc., to revisit as you age? And any hot takes or strong opinions about the rise of more socially conscious, elevated horror, quote unquote, films, media in recent years?
Okay, here's my whole thing about elevated horror. When I read a scary book or watch a scary TV show or movie or something like that, I want to be frightened and to like feel like I've touched beyond our mortal ken. I know what racism is. And I know what sexism is. And yes, it is sometimes really frightening how pervasive it is in society, but like I also want to be scared. I don't want to just
Yeah.
learn about the existence of racism and sexism. Get Out works great because it is both about racism and also what's going to happen to the main character is terrifying.
It's also
To
funny.
live yeah, and it's also really funny.
Yeah.
It
Fun and
hits.
Jordan
It's
Peele,
just a
you
good
know.
ass movie,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
It's the point of the thing that is the theming of it is about racism, but the point of it is not. Isn't it so scary that racism's real? The thing that is going to happen to the main character is one of the scariest things I've ever thought of in my life. Just like living your own consciousness subsumed in the back of your brain while a white person takes over your body is so scary. I would hate that. A lot of elevated horror is just like, "Ray, you know about sexism? You're scared now." And I can't fucking, I hate that. Just actually scare me. You can make a movie out of anything as long as you actually scare me.
I think
Yeah.
I was thinking of an intrusive thought. I think of it was when they go into a horror house or a haunted house in the Simpsons, and there's just an old lady there, and she just goes, "The horrors of old age," and it's just like it's what elevated horror feels like. It's just like here's the fucking, I don't know. It's like it's one of those things where like that shit's again. You have to like people. My long contended thing about the sort of like A24 adjacent like thing is that a lot of it is what I call housecore, which is we got a nice arts and crafts house upstate and we're gonna make a movie. Like that's
Yeah,
what Hereditary is. It's just like we have exactly one house, Thoroughbreds, all of these fucking movies that are just like that people will either remember or they'll remember and they'll forget. And it's like, are you good at making a movie? And do you have? I mean, this is again like, do you have schlock in your heart? And I feel like most of these people just feel like they came into filmmaking through internships and like there's intern mindset in all of these things, and like when it's good, I guess it's interesting, you know what I mean, but like a lot of times it's just like half clever and annoying, and then you go back and you watch the thing and you're like, oh, you had to make that shit.
Yeah. I there's some movies in the elevated horror genre that I've gone back to and found things to like in them. But a lot of them, I mean, it is like we rented a house, now we have to make a movie, and there's just not a lot. There's not a lot going on. Whereas to bring it back to the first part of the question, I love rewatching Halloween, the original John Carpenter Halloween, every Halloween, because new pleasures to be found in that film every year. I feel the same way about the original Carrie, the De Palma Carrie, which
Carrie's
is what
so good.
Carrie is just ridiculously fucking good, especially those last.
I liked it. Just, oh God, such good
The
line reading in that
last
fucking
when
movie.
she turns and like her head just whipping around into the smash zoom cut, like it's just incredible. The two kids that escape and they're trying to escape her in their car and they just die and then a fiery car accident. Incredible. I watched the new Suspiria, which is fine, but then you go back to the 1970s Suspiria and you're like, they were cooking with gas. Like that movie's just bingo bongo bonkers. And
shot on fucking Technicolor.
It looks marvelous. It looks absolutely marvelous. And the Goblin score is really just unparalleled.
I watched recently, last night, I watched Spontaneous Combustion, which, have you ever seen that one?
No, I haven't. It's on my list, though.
It's by, fucking, what's the name? The guy, Toby Hooper movie. It's like a 4.9 IMDb Toby Hooper movie. And it basically has the same plot as, like, Akira and, I'll say, Scanners. The idea of, like, oh, we did something to a child, and it's Brad Dourif. And Brad Dourif's parents got the first 15 minutes of it are basically Fallout New Vegas. What happened to lead to Fallout, including the ink spots needle drop, where they just nuked his parents with a vaccine that makes him like nuke, and then they give birth to a kid, and then both his parents just burst into fire, and now he has to be raised like under government supervision, and he does all the Akira shit, and it is not a good movie, but it is fucking great because it has Brad Dourif chewing the scenery, and it's like such a sick. It feels like when white people accidentally make a Hong Kong movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
I do what you mean.
It's so he just chews the scenery. It's got like there is kind of something to it. Also, his girlfriend has an entire line of a radio and a telephone that contain neon in them. Like they are like neon light. They're made by this one French company. I looked it up. Yeah, go watch Spontaneous Combustion if you can. It's on Tubi. Just watch it on Tubi. It's fucking sick. Also, yes, Exorcist 3. He's great in Exorcist 3, which is better than Exorcist 1.
I did want to ask, re-elevated horror stuff. I mean, y'all saw Sinners, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that movie
good.
fucking rips. That
It's a
movie
great
rips.
movie,
Yeah, I was
yeah.
gonna say, okay.
Because it's an
I was gonna say, I
entertaining
feel like-
movie. Because he
Yes,
knows how to
exactly.
make.
It's a
He
great
knows
movie.
how.
Yeah.
He knows anime.
Yes,
knows-
exactly. There's red oni and blue oni in the movie, right? Like,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
an anime movie, and it's a great movie about vampires. If you care about racism, there's stuff in that for you too.
Yeah, I
But
guess.
if you just-
Sure.
Yeah.
if you just are there for the vampire story, it's wonderful. It's just you're
Yeah.
gonna have a great time.
Yeah, also not even Ryan Coogler's like first anime movie, right? Because
Yeah.
also, Creed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or rather, Michael B. Jordan's first anime movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like there's anime running through all of this lineage.
If
Which
you
you gotta
know,
love.
no, if you, the thing about it is the forward, the path forward is anime, and like that is
Yes.
why, like Sinners is good, is because it understands shonen and it understands fucking anime and all these, like the same with any of these things. It's like make entertaining. Can you make something gory and fun and entertaining? You know what I mean? That is
Yep.
the only culture that we have left that's new, that still feels like that. I watched a Chainsaw Man movie. That fucking movie rocks.
I've
No,
heard
I
it's
got- I
great.
gotta
I
see
mean,
that still.
I love
Yeah.
when there's a MyBridge reference in anything that's film or animation, because it's just that's when you know that these people don't just know the history of film. They like give a shit about it and care about it. When you
Yeah.
see that fucking horse, which is also in Nope. There you go.
Mhm.
It's yeah. Go ahead. We have other questions. We can talk about movies all day.
Yeah. Perhaps someday we will. All right. Let's see. From Non and Rome, is remaking Halo another sign that Microsoft is out of ideas? Absolutely.
Yeah.
They
Next question.
have been, yeah, pretty much. And then to wrap it up, because I think that this segues nicely into, again, some gentle hinting and teasing from Boolean. Any new Aftermath merch on the horizon? Funny you should ask.
Wink.
There might be something next week, even
Wink. Wink.
coming to a store near you. Yeah,
Wink.
I mean,
I'm so excited.
It's so good. It's
Yeah.
really nice.
because and I think some of you might have seen this on like Blue Sky last night, but Luke was talking about how we've been a little post-light recently, kind of quiet in our neck of the woods. Yeah, because we've been working on something, and that something is going to debut next week, as a tie-in with our second anniversary. And it's going to be a pretty big change. And we're going to have some other celebrations alongside it, gonna run some good pieces. Yeah, it should be. I think that you all will enjoy it quite a lot.
I'm excited.
It's been
I
a lot of work
certainly
to get to
enjoy
this
it
point.
quite a
Yeah.
lot. Yes, it's been a ton of work. I'm really excited, and just keep your eye on the site in the next week or so, and you might have some new merch, and you might have some other new surprises.
Yeah. So get ready for that. In the meantime, if you want to experience those upcoming cool things to their fullest, you should subscribe to the website, which you can do at aftermath.site/products. We record this show, which is Aftermath Hours, every Thursday at 4 ET, and we'll be back doing it next week. But until then, I think that you should have a happy, good, fun Halloween, or whatever else you celebrate.
Have a freaking spooky ass Halloween, guys.
What else would we be
Yeah.
celebrating at this
Get
time?
possessed by, I don't know. Maybe you're very Christian and you don't like to dance in the moonlight with the
Guess.
devil.
Yeah, I guess.
All right. Anyway, thanks for listening, everyone. Have a good rest of your week.
Bye.